Smarties, of course, we can never go too long without talking about calendaring and planning. And in this episode, Steph is sharing her secret to getting kids to use a planner. Steph is offering up this hack, and we're also including in today's email that you should have already received in your inboxes that goes out at 8 a.m. on Tuesday mornings. We're sharing a freebie with some of the sticky notes and Post-its that Steph is sharing with us, so you can see exactly what we're talking about. And also, I wanted her to share those links, so she'll share it with all of us. She shares the benefit of offering this up as an alternative option for learners who are reluctant to use a planner or a calendar, so that she can teach them the benefit of exerting control over their time rather than them having their time control them. If you are not yet on our email list, what are you waiting for? That's where the freebies happen, Smarties. So go ahead and sign up on our website, www.learnsmarterpodcast.com. We're excited to connect with you there. And we also share behind the scenes stuff and things that we haven't shared before. In fact, I'm going to also include a picture of Steph and I at my husband's 40th birthday party. Be on the emails, Smarties. You know what I'll do? I'll share it in next week's episode so Smarties can have the opportunity to sign up this week and still see that photo. Let's dig in.
You want to learn faster, but sometimes working harder is just not the answer. You have to learn smarter. The Educational Therapy Podcast.
Hi, Smarties. Welcome to episode 333 of Learn Smarter, the Educational Therapy Podcast. I'm Stephanie Pitts.
And I'm Rachel Kapp.
And today we're talking about planners, calendars, all the things. The thing we love to talk about most.
It's so funny. So I'm working with a coaching client, and yesterday we actually had this conversation about what is the best planner, which, Steph, you and I have been having this conversation since
years
before we started our practice.
Yeah.
And I was just sharing with her, look, there's no perfect planner.
Mm-mm.
There is no perfect system for managing your time. You just have to pick something, problem solve through it, and figure it out, right? And so there are certain things that a planner has to do. So it has to tell you what's happened. It has to tell you what will happen. And it has to tell you what to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
So past, future, and present. That can be done in a multitude of ways, but it's all about creating the rules for yourself so you know what your steps are. So like, for example, you and I both use Google Calendar. We have a shared Google Calendar. Adam has access sometimes to things that we're doing and so on and so forth. And Katrina certainly does. I actually think Pierce is on our calendar too.
I think he is too, yeah.
Pierce is our editor. And it allows us to communicate, but like we have to come up with hacks for things, right? So if we have something that we need to talk about, you or I will change the title of when we meet for the
event, yeah.
Or, for example, I need to text a learner today, so I put a reminder. But the way I put a reminder is I'm making an all-day event. That's what works for me. I look at my calendar at a week. Sometimes I'll look at it at a month. If I'm adding in all the things for, let's say, Elliot's school year, an update from a previous episode where I was having a calendaring issue of like, do I create Elliot his own calendar? I did. It's working. But like, for example, when we get the full year calendar for his school, I look at it at a month and I put those dates in at a month and I get rid of all the other things and I only look at that calendar as I'm doing it. So there are a lot of issues that come up with calendaring and planning and planners, which is why we've done so many episodes on it. And we'll go ahead and link those previous episodes in the show notes. We also linked the episode where I talk about my executive functioning problem of multiple calendars, so you can hear how that's going. But Steph, was it this week or last week? You were like, Rach, I have a hack. And this is like the gateway into getting learners to use a planner. There's a lot of objections to using planners. We've done that episode. There's an old episode called The 4 Reasons Why Learners Don't Want to Use a Calendar and how we respond to it. But I was like, Steph, whenever one of us is like, oh, I want to show you this, the other one's like, this is an episode. So show me. Tell me, what is your hack? What's your secret that you've been keeping secret?
Yeah, and I've been doing it for a while, and I have some learners. There's a couple of different scenarios. The first is when they're new and they object to the calendar with every cell in their body. It's like this visceral reaction of, no, I'm not going to do it. It's never worked for me. I don't like it, whatever the reason is. So we've got those. We've got the ones that sort of try but can't quite keep it going. And sometimes they need an in-between situation. So this is the in-between hack that I had originally found. And basically what I have done is I have gotten a variety of different pieces of paper or Post-its. There's different options to choose from. I took a picture of some of them. And so we'll put the picture in the email so that you guys can actually see this week's email. Some of the different varieties. You can get them at Target. You can get them on Amazon. But basically, what I do is, if it is overwhelming or I can't get them to calendar yet, I will give them this piece of paper or Post-it, whatever it is. I let them choose, and you'll see this in the picture. Some of them have room to write in, and it's every day. Some of them are horizontal, and it has every day of the week. Mm-hmm. Some of them are just to-do lists for today. Some of them are like the top 3 things. There's a few different varieties, right? And so I lay them out for the learner and say, which one appeals to you? We need to do something.
That is critical in this whole thing. You are finding a opportunity that they can buy into.
Yes. So they have some control and some choice. With a calendar, sometimes I've gotten kids buy-in from getting a customized planner or getting one that has a cool cover, things like that. I had a kid that I got him to start doing it because we got a Star Wars one. Mm-hmm. So things like that, right?
I Googled days of the week sticky notes. Actually, I Amazoned it, which, is another search engine. And there's just a bunch of cool options that are coming up.
Yeah. So they're all different types, right? And so there's another one that's not showing up that it's going to be in the picture that you will see. It looks like a page of a planner.
Okay.
Similar to that. And you can then put all the things in, right? So it's basically a planner, but just one page at a time. And the thing that is so lovely about this is being able to get them to buy in. And then I sometimes can see their shoulders go from being really tense to a little bit more
by their ears.
Yeah, to a little more relaxed. And then talking about, okay, now we've broken it down. What do you need to do? Now let's talk about when you're going to do it and how long it's going to take. All of those questions that we normally talk about, but they can see it visually. And so this starts to create this buy-in of, okay, now it's not just all sitting in my brain and I can actually see what I need to do. This is the gateway. This is the gateway to the planner or the digital Google Calendar. But a lot of them, I have to start there because it doesn't feel like a big commitment. It's like low risk, like high return, right? It's like low investment. It doesn't feel like you're committing to this whole thing that is like going to feel overwhelming or you're not going to know how to maintain it or don't want to get into the nitty gritty about it. This is just one piece of paper. But then that piece of paper shows up again next week.
Where do you put the piece of paper, Steph?
So it depends. If it's one of the Post-its, sometimes I have them put it on their computer.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this looks like a perfect fit for the computer. All right.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes if it's not the Post-it variety, then we will put it, either hole punch it and put it in the front of their binder or put it in the pocket. Or sometimes in the very front cover of the binder. It just depends. I'll let them choose where it's going to live, but it needs to live in the same place. So then when they come back the next time, the paper is still there. And then we can see and check off, and then what needs to be added to the next paper. This starts a regular habit. We can then transition to, okay, are we ready to transition out of a piece of paper and we can transition into something that has more than just this week, so we can talk about next week. Sometimes, occasionally, I've had to go so far as giving 2 pieces of paper, so we have this week and next week, because they're still adamant to not want to have the planner.
Long-term project management. Mm-hmm.
Yep. But this is an in-between hack. It will get them there. They're just not ready for it yet. And that's okay. So, but we're still practicing the skill, and we're still getting what they need out of the skill, which is to be able to visualize what they need to do and have everything written down so it doesn't get forgotten or lost.
Mm. How long after you sort of introduce this idea are you able to move learners to a more substantive approach?
A sustainable approach, so to speak?
Yeah.
It's dependent on the learner, to be honest. I have some that have had to go on a while.
Okay.
One in particular that he puts stuff in his Google Calendar, but he prefers to also have it written on a piece of paper. So we still do the piece of paper. And that's okay, because if that's going to help him get done what he needs to get done, like, we'll take time to update his Google Calendar, but then for the day of, he wants to have it written down on a piece of paper, and that's okay. So I hate that I don't have an answer for your question, but it's sort of that trickery of, like, they don't know that they're calendaring, but they are. And then sort of like, how can we get that buy-in?
They're seeing the benefit of it without having the label of it, and they still got to be adamant about, I'm not calendaring. They in their minds think they're not, but they're mitigating their anxiety by having a system. It's still a system.
It is a system. It is a system. So I keep them on my desk, and then I just bring over, like, occasionally sometimes they want to change their mind too. Like, that's why I have all the different kinds. So
it's an experiment of what's going to go down.
Yeah. And I love having the options, because sometimes I also have to-do lists, Post-its that are different colors. And so sometimes it's just, what color do you want? And it's sort of like when you and I make a new calendar with a student. I actually did it yesterday, and it was, what color do you want? And they're so afraid to, like, stop and make that decision. They don't know that it should matter, and that it's okay to take a second to, like, really decide what your eye wants to see. Those parts of personalizing it and making it yours are very important for the success of the overall system. And so I bought a pack of these to-do lists, and it's like a 7-pack, and they're all these different colors. And so there's an option as well.
Mm-hmm. I think we should just go ahead and do a freebie on this episode and include some links of ones that you've used in the past. So, Smarties, if you are on our email list, you will have received that this morning. If you are not, go ahead and sign up for our email list. You can also go directly to this episode on our website and sign up there, and you'll be gifted that freebie list. Frankly, we're making the freebie because I want to see it.
I knew exactly what it was. Yeah.
So if I'm going to make you send me the link, Steph, then I'm going to spread the wealth.
Fair.
Smarties, have a great week.
Have a great week.